morning, ladies and gentlemen, and honoured guests. It's a great privilege for me to be standing here to open this research showcase at the Golden Jubilee Foundation. And I want to tell you a bit about what the Golden Jubilee Foundation is. Clearly many of you work here, but some don't. And the Golden Jubilee, our core business is the Golden Jubilee Hospital and the sheer range of national resources that that hospital provides for the people of Scotland. But of course we're very proud of our dedicated research institute just next door and the clinical skills and development area through there, but also that we have our own innovation centre. And just last month we opened a new part of the innovation centre called the Inspiration Suite. So if you need a bit of that today, which I'm sure you're not, please pop in. But these are essential. We put heavy investment into all of these areas of our foundation here, specifically with things like audio-visual equipment in every room so that you can sit and watch live operations and watch MRI scans, and then go into the Innovation Centre and design and discuss new ways of working in new studies. But icing on our cake, which makes us quite unique, we have our own 4-star hotel, which is fantastic to support the number of research and studies that we accommodate here at the Golden Jubilee Foundation. The thing that makes us quite unique enterprise for Scotland, we are the only NHS board of our kind here with these 4 dimensions, connected, run by a single board, reporting direct to government. And they have tasked us, one, to continue to support all the research and innovation we are doing for the NHS, but to take that much further afield, out into government for Scotland, out into the public sector, but importantly to make strategic partnerships, and not just locally in Scotland or indeed the UK, but to take that into a global dimension. So the Golden Jubilee Foundation has been tasked to get out there and to meet with small and medium enterprise businesses and create partnerships with companies to do economic growth for Scotland. So essential for supporting and driving forward the research and all the work that you do here. It's so important to our board that many years ago we wrote our board's vision, and research was right at the heart of that, in the vision and in our values. Our statement is that we will lead quality research and innovation, and we have dedicated all our resources and commitment and passion into doing that for the 12 years that we've been here in our existence. Research at the Jubilee, you're going to hear from the experts in the field. We have 80+ studies going on, and the fact that we have a critical mass of patients going through the hospital really does support those studies and recruitment, but also delivery. But you're going to hear from the experts in the field. 25% of all hip and knee replacements in Scotland are done here at the Golden Jubilee. You know, we've got the 3 national services of advanced heart failure, congenital cardiac and pulmonary vascular, along with transplantation, and that critical mass of patients going through here is just perfect with all the other dimensions we have to support and deliver in research studies. We couldn't do it without our partners. Many of you are here today in the room, and that's not just partners locally but globally, because we really do need to find new ways of working for the challenges that we're all facing in the many years ahead. It's all about our patients and improving care for them. They truly are at the heart of progress. This is our strapline here, and they're about everything we do, absolutely everything we do. Research helps us to improve the care that we give to them, but importantly, it helps our staff to fulfil their career potential, and that is what we and our board are dedicated to continue to support. So the showcase today, a fantastic opportunity to hear about all the work, to share best practice, to get your feedback, how we can do more and improve things, because only by doing that will we help and improve the health of the people of Scotland and far beyond. So I'm going to hand over now to the experts in the field. Enjoy your day, and I'll meet many of you throughout the day. So I'm going to hand you over to Dr. Catherine Support. Thank you.
Okay, so on to research. So I've been a research manager here for, amazingly enough, and picked rightly 9 years, and I've seen it, I suppose, through from a kind of a baseline of research into what it is now, which is incredibly exciting. Significant events When I wrote this slide, it's quite difficult to select actual significant events that happened in terms of research, because so many things have happened over these years in terms of building up my own staff, building up the number of research nurses. We now have 15, just appointed another 3 research support people. It's a big and growing department. So I thought we'd look at significant events in terms of the most significant events, I suppose. So the establishment of the Research and Development Office in December 2007 was closely followed by the transfer of services from various various hospitals in the west of Scotland, and that started the research agenda in essence, I suppose, and it started to build from that point forward. The Golden Jubilee Research Institute was opened in May 2011. At that point, it was a Beermore Centre of Health Science. The critical part of this was the opening of a clinical research facility at the same time, and that's enabled the portfolio to increase and the throughput of patients to studies to increase as well, just by virtue of the fact that there is a place for their follow-up appointments to happen. First Golden Jubilee Research Showcase was in September 2012, amazingly 4 years ago. We can't quite believe it's that long ago. And this is the last significant event, I think, the second Golden Jubilee Research Showcase, which is today. So about the Golden Jubilee Research Portfolio, they were often asked about what we do here, and as Dylan said, the people who know more about this will be presenting it later on. All I'm going to do is give an overview of projects, numbers, types, that sort of thing. At the moment we have 80 active projects, and we have a very interesting sort of breakdown of that portfolio. At this point in time, 51 are recruiting and 29 are in follow-up. 31 are commercially sponsored and funded, and 31 are eligible or adopted. Now, anybody who knows in research management knows what these terms are. They're commercially sponsored and funded studies are essentially ones where we're contracted to companies to carry out a piece of work, and we do a lot of that kind of work, and it's equally balanced by the academic work, which is termed eligible or adopted, and that just means the funding mechanism that supports those particular studies, and the rest are so-called not eligibly funded studies. So I put this slide together to look at, we like to benchmark ourselves as much as we can against other organisations in Scotland, but for the Golden Jubilee it's not that easy to do because we are a highly specialist health board. We don't have a sort of defined geographic area apart from the whole of Scotland, I suppose. So all I could think of doing was looking at the headcount of staff, because in order for research to happen, you need to have a critical mass of people to carry it out. So the headcount at the moment for the National Waiting Times Board, so that includes the hotel, the Research Institute and the hospital, is about 1,900. And the number of projects that we run at this point in time are 30 eligible adopted, 33 commercial. So this gives us for ourselves of one project, 63 people for eligible and 1 to 57 for commercial. Now if you look at our closed boards, the bigger boards, interestingly for the eligible and adopted studies, it's just about the same, 1 to 67 or 1 to 60. So although they run vastly huge more amount of projects, the actual ratio of staff to projects is quite similar, so which I think is quite an interesting statistic. When we look at commercial, it's different. We have one project for every 57 people, whereas you can see one for 164 people in GG&C and one for 219. And we do a bunch of other in terms of commercial research, and quite considerably. I think that this slide illustrates it quite neatly. So how do we break down the projects? What are we actually doing? Again, another interesting thing about research at the Golden Jubilee is that we run a dominance of medical device studies, and this is very unusual for any research active NHS organisations. But it is by virtue of the work that we do, so interventional cardiology, pacemakers, hip knee, implants, all that kind of thing. And our second sort of group of, I suppose, most popular studies are CETIN, so these are drug trials, and closely followed by randomised type of trials that look at techniques or diagnostic techniques, that kind of thing. So we do run a lot of complex trials, and the associated governance behind them is quite intense. So, Jill's already mentioned our sort of quality research and innovation agenda. So this series of slides are about research and innovation, and it's always interesting to look at research in terms of outputs and how those outputs can be innovative. And we have our colleagues, I think Sheila here today, who manage some of our innovative outputs for both our research work and from our clinical work. But what I think is quite interesting about the Golden Jubilee is that we take quite an innovative approach to research itself. And there are these two, so gene therapy trials and stem cell trials are termed advanced medical therapy trials. And these are innovative pieces of research in as much as they are quite pioneering, they're in the news, all that kind of thing. Running a gene therapy trial is amazingly complicated. We had to obtain a license to do it. For the stem cell trial, we had to refurbish a piece of one of our facilities to house a liquid nitrogen tank. So there's a lot of complex things that go behind it. But what I think is quite interesting, quite innovative, is the use of exercise as an added measure and added intervention to help people with various conditions. There's 3 quite interesting trials that I'm just going to touch briefly on that I think might be touched on in a bit more detail later on. So the Scottish Vascular Service are running this trial, which is currently recruiting, and I think the early indications are that adding exercise training for these patients does help them. I'm looking at Alice. Yes, so although not finished, it's kind of quite well through recruiting, so that should come to completion quite soon. The second is at very early stages of recruiting. It's run by our physiotherapy department, and it looks at looking at prehabilitation before cardiac or thoracic surgery. This is at very early stages, so we don't know how that's going to work out. Although I believe Fiona's here today, if you want to talk to her about that trial. And this trial is planned, and we'll start recruiting probably in the new year. So all of these have a commonality of using exercise as an innovative intervention, which I think exercise has been about for as long as people have been about. Using it as an intervention and support for other ways of helping patients like this is quite an interesting aspect of research. My last innovation, or our Golden Jubilee's last innovation, is a motion analysis lab, which we have refurbished part of the Research Institute to accommodate. This is led by Alistair Yoon at the moment, who's standing at the back of the room here. If you need any information about the Gate Lab, he's your man. And John Clark is somewhere here as well, who's a consultant who's leading on the motion analysis lab. What the motion analysis lab will let us do is look at motion analysis as an outcome measure for orthopaedic research, which is not used that often. I guess from what John and Alistair have been saying, it's quite an unusual approach to use it as an outcome measure for research projects, and that's essentially what it's set out to do. It's state-of-the-art equipment, and because we are so proud of our new we unboxed the equipment at the beginning of November, so it is literally fresh. We're going to run 2 half-hour workshops, or Alistair is going to run 2 half-hour workshops, and you will have been asked if you registered whether you wanted to put your name down for the workshops. And that's just going to take you through what the motion analysis lab can capture, what it can do, and how it will help us in terms of research. My last instruction is to enjoy the day. People are tweeting all over the place hopefully about it, so this is a hashtag if you are interested in doing it. There's a Twitter wall in the Innovation Centre if you want to look and see what other people are writing about us. And I'm going to hand over now to the chairs of the next session, and we've got Alistair McPhee and Nawar, who's going to carry on with you. Thank you.